right, AJ Preller on the prowl with an interesting move, to be honest with you. Rich Hill, the veteran 43-year-old starting pitcher. I said the number one priority should be starting pitching. They attack it with 43-year-old Rich Hill. G-Man Choi, who's been out basically all year with an Achilles. He's had very limited at-bats. I think 73 at-bats coming back from Pittsburgh as well. So G-Man Choi and Rich Hill from Pittsburgh in a deal for a trio of Padres prospects, including Jackson Wolf, who we just saw make his major league debut about a week or so ago. None of those prospects considered to be inside the top 10 for the Padres, but a couple to be considered inside the top 30. So John and Jim with you. It is a trade deadline day edition of the wrap-up show. Is he done or is he just getting started? Is he only buying or will he also be selling? We'll talk about it over the next hour. If you're here, please subscribe. Year-round content for Padres fans, especially on a day like today. You'll want to hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when we have new videos. Smash the like button for us. You can follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. We'll get to every single super as well. Click the $ below the chat box. We'll get to all of your super chats if you want to support this channel and control the direction of the content. But I think this is a deal that we were kind of looking at as a possibility, Jim, to be honest. This is a depth move. This isn't a sizable move. It addresses areas of need. The Padres essentially have 4 starters right now. They've added a 5th. In Rich Hill, they've had no DH. They've had no first base. Basically this year, they've addressed that with G-Man Choi, and they've done it at a relatively low cost. So a move that probably to some extent was expected by AJ Preller today.
Probably, and it's a move that I think it shouldn't be viewed as, oh my God, like what is Preller doing? Like, I don't think that's the move to do that to or have that reaction towards. It's a move where you need depth and you got some depth pieces. How good are those depth pieces? That's to be determined. But you're not giving up a top prospect. You're not going crazy here. You're not doing something reckless. I read the tweet and I saw the word I saw the name Jackson, and I was like, no, because obviously the biggest Jackson name in this organization is Jackson Merrill. So I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me right now?
So you didn't read?
No, I read, you idiot. I said the second I saw the word Jackson, my heart skipped a beat for just a second.
Jackson Merrill for Rich Hill.
Jackson Merrill for Rich Hill. But yeah, you don't understand what I'm saying, but it's fine.
No, I get it. I get it. You thought it was Jackson Merrill. I get it. It's
right. It's not something great. I feel like this deal is to be viewed as like oh my God, or like season saving. It's a depth move. And it's kind of, I feel like, a move that had to be made for the Padres. Will it work out? I don't know. Will G-Man Choi and Rich Hill help this team out? Maybe they could. They couldn't. Who knows? But it's better than what they had. That's what I'll say there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they needed a 5th starter. I mean, who are they starting today?
Pedro Avila.
Okay, so they need a 5th starter because they're starting Pedro Avila. So you need someone that's built up, and Rich Hill is built up. He's made 22 starts this year. He's thrown under 120 innings. So he's giving you a little bit of length. He's somewhere between 5 and 6 innings per start. His whip is awful at 1.5. His ERA is really high at 4.76. I mean, this guy's 43. He's 43 years of age. So, yeah, it is a depth move. G-Man Choi provides you some power that you probably lacked. He's hit 6 home runs and 73 at-bats, which is a huge number, but that's such a small, workload, 73 at-bats because of an Achilles. The guy's absolutely produced at times previously in his career, although I think you kind of have to go back now. The last time he posted an 800 OPS was in 2019. So I like it considering the circumstances. What did you give up? You gave up Astor Suero. I don't know who that is, top 30 prospect. You gave up Jackson Wolf, who we just saw, soft throwing starting pitcher. Alfonso Rivas, he doesn't have a future necessarily in the organization. So you gave up maybe something for down the line, honestly, in Jackson Wolf, maybe for something now, which is trying to get to the postseason, getting a 5th starter in Rich Hill, getting a DH in G-Man Choi. So you chase now for maybe something that hurts you in a couple of years because you lost Jackson Wolf. I think it's a deal that's worthwhile and is worth making, to be honest.
Anybody, and I'm seeing this on social media, but if anybody says that the Padres paid too much for an old pitcher and a guy that's played 20 games, stop it. Stop it. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just mad because it's not like this amazing player on the market. Okay, because if you got an amazing player, guess what? You're going to have to be giving up a top prospect.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain and simple. And if they gave up a top prospect, you'd be bitching about that too. So I don't want to hear
Does it tell you about their thinking that, they kind of realize the position that they're in and they're not going to give up something real because they know that they're 5 games out and 3 games under 500?
Exactly. And I know that this morning, John Hammond reported that they're interested, or the mystery team in on Justin Verlander. Dude, Preller is in on everybody. It doesn't matter. Okay. It's about if he actually follows through with those trades or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to hear it today, especially after a Rich Hill G-Man Choi trade for a Jackson Wolf and 2 other prospects that you've never heard of before. Okay. I don't want to hear it.
But you will retweet Jackson Wolf, right, in the big leagues, and you will retweet Estar Suarez, and you will retweet Alfonso Rivas, right?
If they make it, yeah. I will.
Well, they'll all make it. I mean, already 2 of them have. So,
but at this point in time, it's a move for depth, and I don't think anybody should be upset about it.
No, honestly. I agree. I mean, it's like you got 2 options here. You either punt on the season, which they're hell-bent on not doing, understandably, considering, how much money they have invested in this team, how many fans they're going to draw, and their position being 5 games back. So you either punt on the season or you chase it down with not throwing all your chips on the table. You don't chase it down with Ethan Salas and Jackson Merrill and Robbie Snelling. You chase it down with, mid-tier prospects for veteran help. And, even looking at, not to discount Jackson Wolf, I have no clue what his future is going to look like in the major leagues. And, he was having a level of success in the minor leagues, but it wasn't ridiculous success. In Double-A this year at a 408. In Single-A last year, he had a 401. I know they're high on him. And we got a glimpse of him, obviously, in that one start where he was solid. He didn't strike anyone out, but he was solid in 5 innings. But this is the cost of doing business. I mean, Rich Hill is, a guarantee for the rest of the year, essentially. The guy's pitched for forever. And G-Man Choi, if he stays healthy, you can plug into your lineup essentially every single day if you need to at DH or first base. So I think it's worthwhile no matter what happens with Jackson Wolf.
And Bridgeroli just tweeted out that she would be surprised if this was it from the Padres.
Yeah, so would I. I mean, so would you. We put the over-under at, 1.5 trades?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think they're still moving. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a player leaves this big league roster, to be honest with you. What else do they need to do? I mean, we've talked about bullpen depth, obviously. We've talked about center field, although Trent Grisham had a big moment last night. Beyond bullpen, beyond center field, I think you're looking at your bench again, some depth on your bench. Jared, thank you for the super. He says, watch Preller still get Rodriguez. Which Rodriguez would we be referring to here?
I think the Detroit Tigers.
Is it Eduardo Rodriguez?
I think it's Eduardo Rodriguez, yeah.
Let's see here on Eduardo Rodriguez, who's had a really nice year, 1 whip, 2.3 WAR, signed through 2026 on a 5-year, $77 million deal. Is this the Eduardo Rodriguez we're referring to?
I think so. On the Tigers?
Yeah, 5 years, $77 million signed through 2026. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'd be surprised too. To take on that much money? No.
For the next 3, you're taking on $50 million, $45 million. That to me would surprise me. Maybe you can get it for a very low level of prospect because you're taking on the money. We've seen that before. But that's a lot. Are they in the business of taking on money right now? I would think Hill and Choi aren't making a lot of money. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think Hill's on a 1-year deal. I don't know about Choi, but also, Rodriguez has a no trade clause or 10-team no trade list. I don't know if the Padres are on it, but yeah, I don't see Preller, especially for Eduardo Rodriguez. If he's going to add money, you're probably going to go just big. You're probably just going to say, F it, Verlander. And I don't know, but
Verlander even isn't even, it's only guaranteed. When's it guaranteed through the Verlander deal?
Through next year?
24. Yeah. 1 year.
Through next year.
Yep. I mean, so you just took on, Hill makes 1 year, $8 million. So you took on 1/3 of that, let's say $2.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then Choi makes nothing, 4.65. You took on 1/3 of that, let's say $1.5 million. You just took on $4 to $4.5 million without getting rid of anything. So they've just added $4 to $4.5 million to their payroll for 2023. Does that mean they're going to offset payroll from now until 3 p.m.? Probably not. They're over the CBT regardless.
Right.
So it's not a crazy addition. The Eduardo Rodriguez thing would be a sizable addition, payroll-wise.
Absolutely. So I look at these moves as a measured type of move from AJ Preller. Now he could go big here and blow it out of the water at any second. But what have we been talking about? They need pitching and they need another bat. This is a left-handed bat. I know that G-Man Choi's stats this year aren't like great. But he's played 20 games coming off an Achilles injury. And oh, by the way, they need a first baseman. So for me, Rich Hill, savvy vet, guy that can give you innings, pitches, has a rubber arm. He's not going to blow you away, but he's looked pretty decent against the Padres this year. So I think overall it's good. It's fine. Not upset about it. Not over the moon about it. It's fine.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, G-Man Choi is only playing against right-handed pitching. So he will DH against right-handed pitching, or he will play first, I guess, occasionally against right-handed pitching. He has never hit left-handed pitching in his entire career, so he will not face left-handed pitching. So he's a platoon, and he will face right-handed pitching. Rich Hill is an upgrade over Thin Air, which is who your fifth starter is right now, Thin Air, because you haven't had one in a month, and we have no clue what Waka's going to look like, nor when he comes back. We have no idea what Seth Lugo's second half is going to look like. So that's an upgrade over Ryan Weathers, right? Because Ryan Weathers has been terrible. And an upgrade over whoever, Pedro Avila. Gus, thank you for the super. He says, if you can't beat them, trade for their players, which is really amazing that the Pirates are a big reason why the Padres are in this position, because they went 5-1 against the Padres this year. Otherwise, maybe the Padres are buying bigger if they were 5-1 against the Pirates.
Right. I know. It's crazy. I would have loved Carlos Santana, but that might have cost you more. And it's a fine trade. It's nothing like that screams over, like this is going to put them over the top. Like it doesn't scream this is going to turn their season around after, what happened last night and what's happened up until the trade deadline. It doesn't say that, but they needed it. They needed some depth. They need some major league depth, and you got some major league depth.
Yeah, right. So you have 55 games left, which means Rich Hill's going to make 10 starts for you, potentially, maybe 11, 10 or 11 starts. G-Man Choi, again, will face right-handed pitching, which you see more than lefty. You'll see him, if he stays healthy, start 35 games, maybe 40. So, yeah, they did need it. They did need it. Now, what impact? Yeah, again, Rich Hill's numbers aren't good, but is he better than Ryan Weathers? Yeah. G-Man Choi's been very good in those 20-whatever games. Can he keep that up in San Diego where hitters go to die? We'll find out. Jared, thank you for the super. He says, people complaining today want us to get Verlander and trade Weathers. It's a depth move, you buffoons. And yeah, exactly. I mean, it is a depth move. I don't know if you're going to see a deal like a Verlander trade. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Weathers was moved here today, but to go get Verlander, and again, you're not all in, I guess, on 2023 if you have him for 2024 at a crazy number where your payroll will be pushing like $300 million, I guess. If you had him, I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if they traded for Justin Verlander. I'd be very surprised if they traded for Eduardo Rodriguez. I'd be very surprised if they added real salary today at the expense of prospects.
Yeah, I would too. I also think if you did make a Justin Verlander trade, highly unlikely you're giving up a top prospect. Like you're giving up a Jackson Merrill or Robbie Snelling for him, correct?
Why? Because of the money?
Because of the money.
Well, I guess it depends on how much of the money you're paying and how much the money the Mets are paying.
True. But
I mean, Justin Verlander's going to command a return.
He will.
Even at the money.
It might cost you Robbie Snelling. It might cost, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I just, it would be very weird if all of a sudden Preller just says, F it.
Right.
Actually, it wouldn't. Would it be shocking if he said F it?
I don't know what F it necessarily means. The F it part to me, that would be surprising if Seidler said F it and took on a lot of payroll when you're already top 3 in payroll. It's like, it's one thing to chase here and get creative and even move prospects. It's another thing to take on additional salary that impacts your ability to make moves in 2024 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
That to me would be a little bit more surprising than him sending off like Jackson Merrill in a trade. So we'll see. Let me get to this from John. Thank you, guys. If you're here, subscribe. Here on Content for Padres fans. Appreciate the super chats. We'll get to them all here today. Trade deadline special. Padres have made their first move prior to the deadline, acquiring Rich Hill, veteran left-handed pitcher. He's 43 and a half years of age. G-Man Choi, veteran hitter.
He's old as you.
He's 32 and a half. He is. He's literally older than me. Rich Hill is older than I am. He is on the Padres. John, thank you. He says, crazy to think we sold the farm for Soto this time last year. I'm glad Preller isn't doubling down and selling the farm. We still need an outfielder and a bullpen piece. Who do you guys think that would be? I mean, we talked to Mike Farron yesterday on John and Jim. He threw out Teoscar Hernandez of Seattle as an outfielder. He said to keep an eye on. I don't think he's been dealt today.
No. That's a good name. Verdugo's on the trade block as well.
That's a good name.
There's just not many hitters on the market.
No, not impact hitters.
There just really isn't. I think the Blue Jays just made a deal for Dylan Carlson.
Okay, yeah, from the Cardinals. I like that. He hasn't done anything this year, though.
No, but like, if you're looking for a legit impact bat, like a Juan Soto, you ain't going to get it this trade deadline. That you're just not. The only guy that could have been there would be Shohei Ohtani if the Angels were sucking. But they're all in, and they're not trading Ohtani. Oh, no.
Are you sneezing? I thought when you said, oh, no, because I was on a different tab, I'm like, did they make a trade? And it was you sneezing.
Yeah, no.
Much more likely.
Exactly.
I mean, who's still like, I mean, like Daniel Bard we saw yesterday, he can't throw strikes in a bullpen. Yeah, let me just ask you, like, is the bullpen a need? Like, I'm asking that because when you have Steven Wilson, when you have Suarez, when you have Hader, when you have Cosgrove, like you got 4 on your quote unquote A team. I mean, you need 5. Like, again, I'd pay nothing for it. Yeah, if you could buy low on a reliever, of course. Why wouldn't you? I mean, every team in baseball that's going for it should buy low on a reliever if possible. But like, I don't see it as some like huge need, assuming you have Hader, Suarez, Wilson, Cosgrove, even Nick Martinez, potentially Seth Lugo if they move him to the bullpen at some point. Like, I feel like they have enough in their bullpen.
You could always use bullpen pieces. You could always use an extra bullpen piece. You know, even the like 2015 Royals, who had like one of the best bullpens in the history of the game, could maybe be like, yeah, we could use another bullpen piece, even though their bullpen was amazing. I still think, as of right now, any and all pitching help would be useful.
Yeah. I mean, I could go with another starter and move like Lugo back there. Or I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I think relievers are the most affordable, so maybe that is the right way to look at it. Carlos, what's going on, man? Thanks for hanging out. He says time to get a high leverage reliever, and we ride. So you're looking at what inning? Because Suarez is your 8th inning guy, right?
You got Suarez and Hader in the back end right now.
You have Wilson. So you want someone between Wilson and Suarez that's better than Steven Wilson? I guess. Is that what we're looking for?
I mean, let me look up this player here. See here. Hold on. Okay. A guy like, I mean, this might cost you a little bit because he's arbitration eligible for a long time. I mean, he's arbitration eligible beginning in 2026, and they're probably not going to do this. So I'm not.
So this is like a first-year player. Who is this?
No, he's been in the big leagues for 3 years. Gregory Santos with the White Sox. He's got a 2.63 ERA. 51 innings pitched. It would cost you a little bit, but I think I just thought of that name off the top of my head as a guy.
Yeah, he's only making $700K. And yeah, they'd be giving up a guy with basically 6 years of control.
And if you're thinking, Carlos, if you're thinking like David Bednar.
Yeah, but why would you take on a closer? I mean, unless you're getting rid of Hader, then I win sushi.
Well, I mean,
Carlos, thank you.
You can move Bednar to the 8th inning and Suarez to the 7th inning.
And then Wilson's pitching in mop up like in the 4th.
Well, I mean, for Snell outings, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, it would. It would. And Cosgrove is going to pitch in the third inning. Carlos, thank you, says there isn't big impact players that are not super expensive except Verlander. However, I don't care about prospect hugging. Preller knows how to retool farm. Yeah, it's fair. He's done a nice job over the last year after the Soto trade. I think that's reasonable. I think he's done. I mean, the Salas thing's unbelievable. He's like a top 20 overall prospect in baseball.
It's incredible.
Yeah, so I think that's fair. I think it's a fair way to look at it. That you could move pieces to help you at the big league level right now. Just are they chasing down something that's realistic? Yeah, I think it is. It's realistic. It's still, I think, more unlikely than likely. But yeah, I mean, they're chasing down something where they say, listen, we're 5 games out. Let's go grab it if we can. Gus, thank you.
Yeah.
He says, do depth moves help? Big four not suck late in games. No, do the depth moves help like Juan Soto in the 10th inning or Manny Machado in the 9th inning? No, unfortunately, nothing's going to save the Padres from their 0-10 record in extra innings. Not even Rich Hill, I don't think. Maybe G-Man Choi.
Yeah, is this trade changing Xander Bogaerts' year? No,
unless he's boys or G-Man Choi,
and he becomes this like amazing player, but. Yeah, Xander Bogaerts has to be better. I agree with you, Gus. The big four have to carry the way.
Mm-hmm.
They have to carry the load. Now, depth does matter, and we've seen with this team what no depth does. But yeah, if those guys are better, then you can withstand some lack of depth moves.
All right, let me get back to these supers, guys. Thanks for hanging out. All right, let's see. Back to our buddy Carlos. He says, not enough bullpen. Yesterday, I was sweating. Well, that's because they didn't have Josh Hader or Robert Suarez available to them in a 10-inning game yesterday because they'd pitched back-to-back days. Every team's going to deal with that. You only have 26 players on your active roster. So if guys are down, guys are down. Carlos, thank you again. He says 7, 8, 9 have to be guys that throw fire. Need a guy that can save a game when Suarez and Hader can't on third day. I'm thinking Carlos Hernandez from the Royals. I mean, you need a guy that can save a game on a third day, I guess. Well, I would tell you that then you're going to have to turn to like Steven Wilson. I don't think you're acquiring David Bednar because Robert Suarez and Josh Hader are down. That would be my guess.
Yeah. That's why I said you always need bullpen pieces. You always need bullpen help because right now, especially with this team, Suarez coming off an injury and Hader never going to pitch 3 days in a row. Rarely, like you're going to deal with some issues like last night, even though I didn't think that the pitching of the bullpen was a problem at all.
They weren't, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't right. The fact that they allowed a run in the 10th inning was because there was a drop ball at third base. And their offense didn't score in the top of the inning. It had nothing to do with whoever was on the mound.
Right.
Which was who? Nick Martinez?
Nick Martinez on the mound, yeah.
Yeah, in the 10th. Guys, if you are here, a reminder to make sure to support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. If you have insurance needs, there's nobody better than Mark. He is your guy for your insurance needs. You can take it from me. I've had a homeowner's life and earthquake insurance policy for a long time. At this point, we had a claim in here, as I always tell you about last year. He took care of everything, saved us thousands of dollars. Just by switching your insurance, he can save you hundreds of dollars. He's a San Diegan, lifelong Padres fan. We've been texting back and forth today with the trade deadline approaching. He's a great insurance agent. You can take it from me with great service and communication. If you want to get more information, if you want to get free quotes online, click the link in the description down below. Auto, home, business, life, condo renters. Click the link in the description down below for free quotes. If you support our channel and our work, please support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.
Yeah, all his information is above my head. mnimitz at farmersagent.com. When you reach out to him, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
Back to Carlos, who's on one right now. Thank you, Carlos. He says, don't say you trust Hill. Tim Hill? I mean, Tim Hill's been here for 3 years. Nick Martinez. Well, Luis Garcia shouldn't be on the roster. You always have to have a worse reliever, by the way. What do you do when you're trailing? Or what do you do when you're up 10 runs? So there's always going to be a worse reliever on your team. But do I trust Nick Martinez? He hasn't been great. I don't think they'll get rid of him. Do I trust Tim Hill? I think the organization does. He's been here for years at this point. Not every reliever is a higher leverage reliever on any team in baseball, including the Padres. Right?
Right.
That's just how it works. I mean, there's going to be a worse player on your team, worst hitter, worst reliever.
Not everybody on your team is going to be in your bullpen, Josh Hader. It's just not. That's not how it works.
Right. It would be nice if everyone was Josh Hader. Although
Nice
they'd
if
be down
everybody
a
was.
lot.
Be nice if everybody was Fernando Tatis Jr. and Juan Soto and
Yeah,
Manny Machado.
exactly. So what happens next? What happens next year
Dude.
if you're the Padres? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've seen Colorado sell off. We've seen Pittsburgh sell off. There's not a ton of sellers, but there's at least a handful. What's their area of need? Is it relief help? That seems to be a common theme in the chat. Is it? I mean, I don't know what else it is. To be honest with you, is it upgrade your outfield? Do they sell off to some extent somewhere? I don't know.
I mean, we talked about it yesterday. If you can get an upgrade for center field and Trent Grisham, I think you have to do it. But where's that upgrade and how much would it cost? And, I don't know if they can. But as of right now, John, 3 outfielders on their team. That's it.
Yeah,
On the big league roster.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
So if your utility outfielder is Matthew Batten, that would probably signal to me you might want to go out and get another outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the remaining needs for this team, I would go bullpen and an outfielder. That's what I would go. As Brian says, Trout might be available.
Perfect. Carlos wants to know, OMFG, why are you downplaying the need for bullpen? I mean, I'm being honest. I honestly don't think it's a need. I mean, you can always, every team could use a better bullpen piece, but I don't think the difference between, I don't think they're 52 and 55 right now because of this current iteration of their bullpen. You could tell me because they didn't have Robert Suarez, or if they had Steven Wilson on the IL, that's fine. But I don't see this bullpen, which by the way is a top 10 ERA in baseball, that has not been blowing saves left and right with this current version of it. That has Josh Hader in the back end. I don't know. I don't think the bullpen upgrades are going to make this team like all of a sudden unbelievable. Are they blowing tons of leads in July? I haven't seen it.
I still would say that bringing bullpen help would be helpful. Just to give Bob Melvin more options and to make sure that, when they have like the other night, they had a 4-run lead and they put in Josh Hader in the 9th inning. I'm like,
well, that didn't have to do with their bullpen depth. That's because the tying run was at the plate.
Was it?
Or did they? Or did he need work? I mean, there wasn't because they didn't have anyone available. That wasn't the reason.
I don't think he needed work. I just they are so like, I think, hamstrung by at the end of the games. They have 3 guys that they really count on. 3.
No, they have more than that. They have 4. They have Cosgrove, who's been awesome. They have Wilson, who's been awesome. They have Suarez, who's been perfect, and they have Hader, who's been awesome.
I still think they need more.
But they didn't. That's not. They didn't call on Hader because they didn't have anyone available, right? That's not what happened, is it? I think they just wanted to hold the lead, right?
Yeah, 4-1 lead. They didn't. But that's the thing. 4-1 lead. Are you going to your closer there?
Well, I mean, look at what they did. Darvish to Wilson to Suarez to Hader, sitting on a 4-0 lead after the second inning. Why'd they go to Wilson? Why'd they go to Suarez? Because they treated it like a game they had to win. Is how I look at it.
Yeah, they had to win it, so they had to go to their A team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how trading for whomever would have changed what they did in that game. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they added a reliever. I'm just saying I don't think like you go add a 7th inning guy and it changes like the course of the. I don't think it's bigger than adding Rich Hill or G-Man Choi. Because I think their bullpen has good pieces, I guess is my point. But Carlos disagrees, as does Jim. Let's see here. Jake, what's going on? Ruben will fix. Which Hill? Rich Hill? Not Tim Hill? I guess Rich Hill he's going to fix.
I mean, potentially. I mean, Rich Hill this year. It was funny, though, the other day, what stuck out to me when Rich Hill was facing off against the Padres, Mud was just like, I love Rich Hill. He's a gamer. Like, he was like all over Rich Hill. It was pretty funny. And now he's on the Padres.
Now they got him.
Yeah, I mean, this year, he's just an inning eater right now. Like, you're not going to see him all of a sudden over the next 5 starts have like a 1.2 ERA. And that'd be great if he did, but he's here to give you innings because the uncertainty with Waka. I mean, Lugo's been great. But to go from where Lugo's innings were to all of a sudden like 150, you're like that's a little, you got to be careful with that. And after that, you got nothing. I mean, you're starting Pedro Avila today.
Right.
When you need wins. And he might do good, but might do well, but you need depth in that rotation when they have none. And Rich Hill gives you depth and he gives you innings.
I'm looking at Rich Hill's last, let's say, 10 outings. Okay, 5 innings, 2 runs, 4 1/3 innings, 2 runs, 5 2/3 innings, 4 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 5 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs. He hasn't gone more than 6 innings since June 9th. Yeah, he's a piece. He's just a guy.
So he'll
he's
fit
just
right in.
Exactly. He's just a guy. This is great. Carlos is so mad. He's normally mad at Jim, but I like it. He says, I love you, John, but that's a horrible take. The reason we put Hader in is because the bullpen can't keep big leads. ERA is misleading. We're the worst in July. Okay, but that's why they use Steven Wilson and Robert Suarez too in that game. They just treated it like it was a must-win game. Oh, by the way, it was a must-win game. They had to win against the Rangers to be a buyer, and they won those games. So they treated it like it was a playoff game. And guess what? It turned out beautifully. And the fact that Hader doesn't pitch 3 consecutive days makes him like basically every closer in baseball. And he did go 3 consecutive days earlier in July. So the whole idea, well, what happens when Hader is down and Suarez is down and Wilson is down? Well, then you don't trade for a closer, because why would you trade for a closer when you have one?
You know what would be awesome is if a trade that AJ Preller makes for a bat actually like works and helps the team and doesn't suck. Like, what if, G-Man Choi here over the next 50 games hits like 360? That'd be cool.
That'd be huge.
Like that'd be nice to have a piece that everyone's like, and turns into like one of those diamond in the roughs. That'd be awesome.
It would be amazing. Are you holding your breath on that?
No.
Have you? I mean, if Juan Soto didn't work out last year,
yeah, if Juan Soto hit
215 with the Padres, the savior,
214 with the Padres, and the remaining
right.
I mean, but as you said, this is not an everyday player. This is like a platoon guy, and he helps your bench, and he's gonna be a guy against righties coming off the bench. It's another left-handed bat.
Yeah,
that's something that I think they view as what they needed. Major league hitter, helps your bench, can play first base. Yeah, I think that's what they're looking for. Will it work out? I don't know, but if
I'm not going to kill him if it doesn't, by the way.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We didn't just say today, oh my gosh, the biggest trade in Padres history. They're going to the postseason. They're like, oh my gosh, it didn't happen. Rich Hill had a 5 ERA and G-Man Choi hit 200. Well, yeah, that's who they are, So like that won't shock me if Rich Hill's a 5 ERA as a Padre and G-Man Choi hits 200. He's hitting 200 this year, right? Yep. And he hasn't had an OPS over 800 in 5 years.
Right.
Thank you, gas station Dick Pill, for the super, who says, how do I make my name green in the chat?
Green?
Jim? I don't even know what that means. You want to become a member?
It's a memberships. Those are memberships.
Yeah, click the join button in the link down below. You get emojis and badges if you want to become a member. Carlos is on one. This is amazing. OMFG, July, we were the worst bullpen in the league. No, you were the best bullpen in the league in July. You might be talking about June, but your bullpen's been incredible.
They have one of the best records.
I mean, the bullpen. Carlos, what are we talking about? In June, they didn't have Robert Suarez. That's like telling me they just added literally they spent how much money on Robert Suarez in the offseason? How many people argue the reason this team is where they are is because of Robert Suarez and that this cleans everything up? I heard it for 3 months and now he's back and it doesn't matter. I mean, I can't have it both ways. Are we going to pretend like Robert Suarez is not an impact piece when they gave him $10 million a year and he's their future closer post Josh Hader is what we said all of the offseason?
And maybe that's something AJ Preller and this team viewed as like, okay, our bullpen acquisition at the deadline was Robert Suarez. They could be absolutely view it that way. I still think
huge one.
I still think more the better.
Sure.
It's always good to have just as many flame-throwing arms coming out of that bullpen as possible.
I'm telling you right now, I think they'll add a bullpen piece, but I'm saying like I don't think the difference between adding one bullpen piece, Daniel Hudson, I don't think it means anything, is what I'm saying.
To me,
Because
it's
I think
not
they have enough.
To me, the bench, an outfielder, or just a pure DH bat are way more important to this team than another bullpen arm. I agree with you there, John.
Until again, if someone gets, I can't predict if someone gets hurt, but you can't go trade for David Bednar because you think someone's going to get hurt. The sport doesn't really work like that.
It's not their biggest need because, if you look at last night's game, like if you're yelling at the bullpen for Nick Martinez, you're missing like the entirety of how they got there. It wasn't the pitching and it wasn't the bullpen's fault at all last night.
Like I'm just looking because Carlos wants me to, I mean, doing the deep dive, the one area you want to upgrade obviously is Luis Garcia, but we've said that for weeks on end. I don't think that really has to do with anything other than for whatever reason the organization is keeping him here because he produced maybe a year ago.
And he's not
outside that. I don't see all these weak links. Tim Hill's been really dependable, right? I mean,
he's not pitching in any meaningful game.
Exactly.
The only time he's pitching is when they're down 7 runs.
Yeah, or up 7, and he's blown that a couple times. And then you have to call in Hader. That's when it's a problem.
Right.
When Garcia starts the 9th inning up 7, and Hader comes in. That's a huge problem.
Exactly.
Huge problem. Jake, thank you. He says Kim and Choi chemistry is going to be fire. Oh, light a fire under the team. What do you think about that? The fact that they're.
Do you think G-Man Choi is going to come in that clubhouse and like throw down his bag and be like, "I'm here to save the day"?
He might. Continue on in the chat. I got to walk my dog.
Oh, by the way, hey, real quick, John. Hey, listen, no, come back. Oh, man. I had some breaking news for him. Not any Padres news, but I had some breaking news on San Diego State basketball. So I guess he's going to have to wait to find that out. Okay, so while John walks his dog, let's see, where were we? Okay, let's get back to the supers here. Scared Tube says, "Can we get a real hitting coach? Can we do that?" Guys, again, I don't think blaming the hitting coaches when this team struggles offensively is the where you should be guiding your anger. Like, does it matter? Yeah, it matters, but it doesn't matter like you guys think it matters. Okay. Do you think Xander Bogaerts, coming from Boston, being a 300 hitter and an all-star and a World Series champion, came here, and the reason why he's struggling this year is because the hitting coach? Like, are we going to put all of the blame on Xander Bogaerts' struggles this season because of the Padres hitting coach? And guess what? They don't even have technically a hitting coach. They have like an offensive coordinator. They don't even have anybody with a title of hitting coach in that dugout. So to me, yes, it would be nice if the Padres had a stable hitting coach for more than a year. That would be awesome. Stability is like a thing that this organization completely lacks at times. But when Juan Soto and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Xander Bogaerts, when those guys aren't hitting, if you blame the hitting coach, you're blaming the wrong people. Now, the hitting coach is there to help them get out of these ruts. I agree with that, and that needs to be better. But overall, Xander Bogaerts and Manny and Tatis, those 3 guys alone, just plain should be better. They should just be better. Okay, John is back. I can't wait to tell him the San Diego State breaking news. You're on mute.
What's that?
Do you already know that they're going to play Cal this year in basketball?
Yeah, come on. I remember my first time trying to break San Diego State news. Come on, dude. Yes. There's just so much going on because you know how I've covered the Pac-12 TV deal like I cover,
trade deadlines. Like your son.
Like I need to do 24 hours of content. This Pac-12, San Diego State, John and Jim. I need a Carlos channel. Let's hang out with Carlos.
Carlos needs a channel, yeah.
All right, what have you gotten to here?
We were just talking about everyone. in the chat, not everybody, but Scared Tube says that they need a real hitting coach.
Can you trade for one?
Yeah.
Okay, Carlos, we're okay. I'll agree here. Let's end it here. And thank you. You don't need to contribute to supers, by the way. We're agreeing to disagree. This is a baseball argument. He says exactly. Replace Garcia, not asking for Bednar OMG. I'm with you. Replace. Yeah, absolutely, sure. I think they should have done that 2 months ago, to be honest. So I don't know why they're keeping Garcia up, and I think they can do better than Luis Garcia. I agree with that. So let's see if they can do that. I think they probably have something in their system that could help them out.
Mm-hmm. Also, too, getting upset about like one of your last relievers in your pen.
That's the thing. I don't think it's going to change anything.
Yeah, it's not.
All right. While we have a moment, we need to tell our viewers about Aura. Great partner of ours here on the wrap-up show. ORA.organic. If you're looking to get healthier, there's only one place to turn. That's to our friends at Aura. They have been a supporter of this channel for the better part of the last 2 years. Their co-founder, Will, is a huge Padres fan. We were texting with Will last night. He's a Padres fan. He's a native San Diegan. Aura has offices here in San Diego in Liberty Station. If you're looking to get healthier, they have the plant-based products for you. Probiotics. I take one every day from Aura. It's an amazing product for digestion and more. They have proteins for after workouts, pre-workout supplements, omega-3 oils. If you take a fish oil, you can take the plant-based version from Aura. That's an omega-3 oil. They have sleep pills and immunity pills and much more. You can shop at ORA.organic or by clicking the link down below. But again, if you support our work, if you support our channel, please support our local partners like our buddy Will at Aura by clicking the link in the description down below.
Yeah, go there right now if you want to live a healthier lifestyle. You want some supplements. You don't know where to start. Aura is the best place to go. www.ora.organic. When you go there, pick up some stuff and try it out, and you'll thank us later.
Absolutely, you will thank us later. All right, so here's what is on tap today, by the way. 2:30 p.m., we're doing a trade deadline special on San Diego Sports 760, Darren Smith Show, and John and Jim from 2:30 to 3:30. So we'll break down everything that happens here today from a Padres perspective from 2:30 to 3:30, and then that leads us right into John and Jim, where we'll break it down even more. So I guess it's like a 3.5-hour trade deadline special, beginning at 2:30, the Darren Smith Show and John and Jim. And then we'll be back tonight because the Padres play game 2 at 5:40. Is that right? I think it's at 5:40.
If there's no rain.
Right. Good point. And they really need these next two after losing in which they lost last night, in the manner in which they lost last night. No matter what happens today, I don't care if they trade for Justin Verlander or whomever, they need to win these next 2 games because they all matter. You're down to 55 games to play, and they've got work to do. Simple as that, right?
You can't lose a series to the Rockies. You can't. It's already a failure that you couldn't sweep them. But at least if you can get out of here with a series win with the next 2 games, you'll feel okay about yourself. And then the real test begins because you play from this Friday moving forward. Or is it Thursday or Friday?
No, I think it's Friday.
Friday. You start a stretch of games where you don't have any easy opponents until the end of the month. But in St. Louis, is that really? I mean, they're having a down year, but it's the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't think that's a walk in the park.
So you don't have an easy opponent here after this series until mid-September versus the Oakland A's.
Now it goes back to the point you made yesterday, which is like, well, yeah, but they're actually good against the good teams.
True.
It's the bad teams that they have the 3rd worst record against in baseball, teams under 500. Yep. And 3rd worst.
And you are also going to be playing teams that are in front of you. So those are so important because it either can make or break you. It can like legitimately get you back into this thing, even though they're semi quasi in it, right now, or this could bury you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I'm just looking at, what's to come here today because we talked about the wild card standings, I think after last night, and even with the loss, it's not like they lost sizable ground. They're still 5 games out, but you're trailing 5 teams by 5 or more games, and only 3 of those 6 teams, if you include the Padres, will make the postseason. So Let me say that again. You're trailing 5 teams by 5 or more games, and only 3 of those 6 teams, if you include the Padres, will make the postseason. Plus, there's the Cubs to worry about, who are a game and a half better than San Diego. And oh, by the way, the Mets, who sold off everything, Jim, are 1 game behind the Padres. So, like, the strategy, it's not like this is a strategy that's like, obviously they have to go for it. Obviously, this is the right path. Obviously, this will work. Mets have had a different strategy. Now, you could say the Mets are in a different spot. You brought up some – I agree with you. Analytically, maybe the Mets aren't the same team as the Padres this year. But at the end of the day, they're 50 and 55, and the Padres are 52 and 55. So they've had similar years,
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. A couple games here or there changes a lot of things. But as of right now, they're going for it. They're 100% going for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're – I mean, I don't – based on this move, you're saying that?
Yeah.
They're 100% going for it based on this move?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like it's not like this. It's not Juan Soto, but I think it's a move that signals, and with interest in Lucas Giolito last week and the reports of them being interested in Justin Verlander today.
But if they don't land Giolito or Verlander and they just had like Hill and Choi, that signals that they're going for it?
Yeah, because why on earth would you trade for those 2 pieces and then just trade away Snell and Hader?
No. Of course they're not going to. I'm just saying, it's just, to me, it doesn't signal you're going for it. It signals we're willing to put in a low amount of risk. We're not willing to put in a high amount of risk, which is a true going for it because you're willing to risk whatever to get in.
Well, to me, also going for it means at this point in time, you're not trading Snell and you're not trading Hader, and you're not selling off parts.
Sure. You just want that sushi.
I'm getting that sushi. I knew I was getting that sushi. It was easy. It was one of the easiest bets I've ever made.
The trade deadline's not over. UnderdogFantasy.com, best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. You can see it on your screen right now. Use promo code PADSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, promo code PADSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Get a 100% deposit match up to $100. You can play MLB daily drafts right now at UnderdogFantasy.com. You can also play pick'ems where you make higher or lower predictions right now, including in Major League Baseball with the Padres tonight, for example, against the Rockies. So easy, so simple. This is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Again, use promo code PADSWRAP, PADSWRAP. You will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. There'll be another move between now and 3 p.m. So join us this afternoon on the radio at 2:30. We'll have a trade deadline special for you beginning at 2:30. There will be another move involving the Padres, if not more than one, over the next 3.5 hours. I'm not overly worried. I'm going to Orange Theory. I got a noon class. Maybe I'll see you there, Jim. If not, I'll see you at 2:30. All right, guys, we'll be back to wrap up Game 2 of the series, Padres-Rockies tonight, and we'll see you on the radio at 2:30. Thanks.